SANDCAST Beach Volleyball with Bourne, the player again.
Yeah.
And Travis Mewhirter, presented as always by our bud at volleyballmag.com. We are not at our Bourne on the Beach studios today. We kind of upgraded. We're at the USA Volleyball facility, which is pretty sweet. Right. And we snagged Mr. Jake Gibb after another Manhattan Beach final and after a little weightlifting session here today. How you doing?
Good. What up, guys? Yeah. I feel like I'm coming in at a weird time because our guy, Bourne, is back, and I feel like you guys should dedicate a full session to how that all went and how you feel and the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we've talked too much about me lately.
Oh, really?
We did a kind of a preview one before Manhattan, so I don't know. I'm a little sick of myself. I don't know if everyone else is.
I don't know. Yeah, it was fun doing the preview with him and Trevor, though, and then because you could see too, like that. I've never seen Trevor have that much fun playing volleyball. It was a completely different Trevor Crabb than what we were used to seeing, and you too. Like, I mean, I'd never seen you play. I've only seen you playing live once before this weekend, and that was the Huntington Finals of when I moved here in 2015. I think that you and Hayden won, and it looked like you were having a lot more fun than normally too. You guys just looked.
I actually saw that. So we were playing the winner of you guys versus Pretty,
right?
And so we got done with our match, and I came over and we saw the last set, I think, and I was like, try smiling a lot more than he normally does. Like, that's a guy that's happy to be playing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Cool.
No, that was definitely part of the plan, was just to enjoy it. There's so many little things that go wrong that I'm just like, I'm not gonna blame myself for that right now, or like get mad at myself for that. I'm just gonna laugh it off. Yeah. Especially blocking at the net. I was like, haven't gotten any reps really, but no, it was fun. It was really fun this weekend, and I think I brought a little fun out in Trevor. I think a little pressure was off of him. He puts a lot of pressure on himself, obviously, and I think he likes having someone on the court that shares that aggressiveness and that fire. So, I think Trevor had some more fun this week too.
Yeah. No, Jake, you obviously had another awesome weekend, another Manhattan Beach final. So haven't even had 24 hours really to reflect on it just yet, but how'd the weekend go for you guys? What are your thoughts on it?
Ooh, it's raw right now is where it is. So I haven't, I'm going to need some time to let it sit.
Yeah.
And, you need, like anything, you need time to, I guess, learn from it, because right now I'm not in that space. Right now it was a car ride home of a lot by myself with a lot of F-bombs and like screaming and grabbing the wheel like this and that kind of stuff. But so that's kind of the space I'm in right now. To be honest, just even talking about it gets me a little like, I don't know what the word is.
It's like I'm like putting myself exactly in your shoes, because you beat me just like that 2 years ago in the MB finals when we actually had one match point. But it's like you have Tourette's. Like every once in a while, it just pops into your head. You're like, and then you just like move on with your day, and then you think about it like, oh God.
That's
what
a
it
good
felt
pull.
like to me.
Actually, I had the Tourette's going home, and then all of a sudden I'm around my family, and it's the duh. It's that one where you're like, hi, Cora.
Yeah.
No, Daddy's not screaming for no reason. How you doing? Let's play with princess dolls. So,
I'm sure kids do a good job of putting it in perspective, though.
Yeah, they do. I mean, 100%. That's one of the, I was going to say the coolest things about having kids, but that's not true. But it's an amazing part of it in that, I get done and my daughter literally wants to sit on my lap and play honky nose, and that's something we do and whatever. And then I spent all morning this morning planning out my son's soccer practice, because I'm his coach. So we're having our first practice tomorrow.
Nice.
And so I'm on YouTube, like Googling like how to run a legit soccer practice. So, which is nice to get your mind off of it, because when you're a single guy or just, when I was without kids, you just sit there and stew, So that is a nice thing, distraction.
And I know, like you said, this is still raw, so the evaluation process probably won't happen for maybe another week or so until you can kind of look at it without all the emotion, maybe a little bit longer. But because obviously it was a great weekend and a tough finish. So when you look at it, when you go back to review, like what's your review process look like?
Yeah, well, that goes in stages as well. Like right now, I go over, we had a couple exchanges at the freeze to win Manhattan. We had a good chance with a good swing that just barely went out, and then I go back to I had a serve for the win, and in my mind, I kind of tried to be the hero, and I tried to ace Phil down his line, because Phil had been poaching the whole game. He'd been poaching and coming and taking all of Nick's middle, and really taking a lot, anything even on Nick's shoulder. And so I was watching that the whole game, and I was back there. I was like, I'm gonna take him down his line right now, and it was kind of one of those like yeah, be that, but it wasn't the play. The play was we were all over Nick at that point, and Taylor was all over Nick at that point, I should say, and that would have been the smart play. And so in my mind, that's the one where I'm grabbing the steering wheel and shaking it loose, because I out of some anger at myself for trying to be a little glory hound there and try and go for something. I don't mind aggression. I love aggression and going for things, but thinking through that moment, that's what really irks me right now. So that's where I'm at right now, and those are the small things, right? That's where I am now. Yeah, then we progress to watch. Sometime I'll watch video and try and work some other things out. About I had some problems getting under the ball for side out. My timing was off and stuff like that. I'll work that stuff out. But right now, it's those little moments where you're like, oh, that wasn't the right choice, and then you progress. It's
funny because in the I talked to Carl Henkel, who played with St. John in the '96 Olympics when they played Karch and Kent, and he said they'd kept it away from Kent pretty much the whole time. And he goes, Kent's taking a lot of Karch's middle just like that, and he goes, let me try this line serve. Rips it down Kent's line. Kent passes it, puts it away, and he's like, well, that was stupid. Like, I feel like everyone kind of has that moment where you're like, I think I can sneak one past him.
Yeah.
And you have guys like Kent and Phil who are just side-out machines.
Yeah.
It just sometimes just doesn't work.
But then when you get the ace, you feel like a genius. You're like, perfect timing.
That's right.
Executed perfectly. I think it takes a certain athlete to do that in that moment, though. Like, how many people would be like, a lot of people would be in that moment like, oh gosh, like I'm gonna play it safe, and they do a lollipop serve usually, rather than someone who's like, I'm going for that. Yeah. I'm going for the kill right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the right choice, but it takes a certain athlete to do that.
It does. And I know that the Manhattan Beach Open has a special place in almost every volleyball player's heart. But I remember one of the first times I talked to you, you said you have pretty much only 2 volleyball pictures in your house. One was from, the 76?
Yep.
Manhattan Beach Open. The other one was 05?
That's a good memory, man. That's a really good memory.
That's good.
Jeez,
That's why I keep them around.
That was a couple years ago.
It was a while ago.
That's insane. Yeah, it is. I have the big one that's downstairs at USA Volleyball. It's the huge long one that. So 76 was the year I was born, and so it's just kind of cool to see where it was when I was born. And you see the crowd just lined up like 30 deep, and watching. I think at that time was Obradovich, and I forgot who he was playing with, but those were the guys on the court. And then I have my first win. We played actually Nick and Phil, me and Stein in 2005. So it's a picture that Stein gave me that's after that, so it's hanging next to it. So yeah, those are the only volleyball pictures I have.
Yeah, and I mean, what makes it special to you? I feel like every player has kind of a different answer about why Manhattan means so much to them. Like, I know that, like, John Mesko, for example, he got married the weekend of his first Manhattan Beach Open, I think. And, like, that's why it's special for him. And then Trevor has had his Instagram countdown. He loves it. He's like, the only event I'd ever skip Manhattan for is Stade. And then I feel like every player kind of has their own reasoning. So what is it for you that makes it such an awesome tournament?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because when I moved out, I had no idea about it. When I moved out from Utah, and I didn't understand it at all. And so I think even in 2005, when I won my first one, I didn't understand it. I remember people asking me before that final about the, and I kind of gave the generic answers like, well, it's the Wimbledon of beach volleyball, and it was all the things that I had heard, but I didn't feel it. I didn't understand it. But I think it's the energy. I think it's the energy that people put into it, right? It's when that we talk about it here and fans talk about it, and you get to go there and you see the greats all come back and start watching that event and put some extra focus on it, and I think it's wonderful that way. I think it makes for a really fun event. But and since then I've it's something that I understand now. You know what I mean? You get it. You talk to the legends and the guys that won it and the guys that have done it, and it's hard to put your finger on it, right? Until you actually play in it and try knows. Once you play in it, then you feel that extra energy into it that's there while you play, and it's something so fun.
Yeah, I just love that because I feel like the fans in Manhattan Beach are actual like volleyball fans. Like when you go to Austin, I feel like it was more just kind of people were out there who like some of it knew, but I mean we had more people there for our qualifier match in the third round than we did for any of the main draw matches I played in Austin. Yeah. So I feel like it's just the people here, like they get it, and it just makes it so much more fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think they understand it, and they still want the refs to call it like they call handsets like they did in 1996.
Totally.
Because if you put like a 1/4-inch spin on it, they're like, whoa! I just want to look at them and like, have you seen the game in the last 15 years?
Yeah.
Like that's not called anymore. Let's settle down. Let's calm it down a little bit. But it also makes it pretty dang cool.
Yeah. I'm interested in your take on that because like you've seen the rules change in a wide variety of ways. What do you think of where the game is now, where the setting is a little bit more lax, and now we have the freeze rule? It's just I feel like the rules have come a long way and in a lot of different directions since you came onto the tour.
Yeah, that was a few questions there, but as far as hand setting's concerned, I like where it's at. I think the way they call it on the World Tour is a good way to call it. I think if you're facing the direction that you're meaning to set, and you put your hands on the ball, and they're very rarely going to call spin unless it's helicoptering, right? And it's absolute chowder. But if you go try and make an athletic move and try and like throw something sideways, it's got to come out clean, and then they'll let that go. I think they're pretty clear on that, and so you understand those rules and you can play under those rules. I played a little bit under the time. I played old school court when I first qualified in 2000, and it was that ball better not move once it's set. Mm-hmm. And that was a totally different mentality, and so I accepted that at that time, and so I don't know which is better, but I like how they call it on the FIVB, where it's very clear that if you're facing where you're facing, and what they call on the World Tour now is lifts. If you come in and you take it and you go deep with it, they're going to call it, mm-hmm. right? But if you're facing and you go out and set a pretty decent ball, then you're okay. On the AVP, it's a little fuzzier in my mind. I don't think all the refs quite are on the same page.
Right.
Some will be calling it very tight. They'll be calling, and I'm like, listen, do you want, like, if they call a ball that quarter spins and they call a set on me, I'm like, listen, what are you calling? If you're calling spin, I'll hold that thing for a long time mm-hmm. and then spit it out clean if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think there just needs to be a little more consistency on the AVP.
Agreed. And I mean, like you said, when you moved here, you moved in 2004, right? And
2002.
Okay, 2002.
Yeah.
Okay. And now here you are, making a push at your 4th Olympic Games. I feel like this has been a journey that's probably exceeded your expectations when you moved here in 2002. So, I mean, how have your expectations changed throughout this journey here? And when you finished up in Rio, did you think that 2020 was on the line too?
Okay, well, 2 questions there. Yeah, how have my expectations changed? When I moved out in 2002, first of all, I didn't have a full grasp on what AVP volleyball was because I came out and I remember thinking if I can just make it in the main draw and then I'll make a living and then I'll be, dude, that would be sick,
right?
Right. Yeah. And so first of all, I didn't understand the financial side of things, because in my mind, like everybody that was playing pro, they were like, you're making. That's kind of how I saw it. I never did the numbers. So maybe if I would have, maybe it was served me very well, because if I would have known what it takes to make a living in this sport, maybe I wouldn't have ever tried. But so yeah, that was my expectation coming out. Literally, I was like, man, if I could be one of those 16 through 20 guys where you're like in the main draw, I don't have to qualify. Yeah, let's do this. And then that progressed. The second question you asked about the Olympics, yeah, after Rio, yeah, I kind of just I had a thought of okay, I'm just going to play this year by year and kind of fill it out year by year. If I'm still a top big man where I feel like I can still win, then I'm going to keep playing, because I love to play. So that's been my assessment since then, and to keep going.
Yeah.
I guess. Does that make sense?
I saw you did a Instagram post the other day, just kind of answering that question in your own way, like just saying, for whatever reason, I'm still really enjoying being out here. Is kind of what I got from it, right?
Yeah.
You're just still having fun, so why stop?
Yeah. Yeah, that Instagram post was interesting, because there was a little more anger behind it when I first started it, and then I kind of calmed it down, because like somebody asked me when are you going to retire, and I was like, I wanted to let loose on them, but because I get kind of whatever.
I'm sure you get the question.
I get it a lot, so I just wanted to address it,
right.
And say, hey man, I feel like age isn't really in the equation for me. It's how I'm playing and how I feel and my desire to play, and so that's where I'm at. And I love playing, and I feel like I'm playing well, and I feel like I can keep increasing my knowledge of this sport, and so I want to keep doing it. And
I think my personal favorite response to a retirement question about age was Tom Brady's. He goes, "I'll retire when I suck."
Yeah,
that's a good
just
point.
Straight up.
Yeah,
which might be a while for both of you guys, judging from the way you're both playing right now. I mean, you and Taylor, like, you guys are playing phenomenal volleyball right now. How has this team progressed? From tournament to tournament, it looks like you guys are just taking another step and another step and another step. And I mean, Taylor is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been really cool watching Taylor's progression. Like, he's from last year to this year, it's been really cool in a lot of ways. First of all, I think he's starting to realize how good he is, which is a really good thing for me and our partnership, because it's one of those things that you have to test yourself on, against the best in the world, and all of a sudden, we go to Stad, and he did some things there where he's like, oh, dude, I can hang with Nikolai, blocking. I can hang with the Norwegian guys. We had a swing to beat those guys to go to the final, and he's in that stage where he's finding out what he can do, and then learning, like, oh man, I can do that. All right, well, let's see if I can go to that next step, and I think he's gaining confidence with every tournament, with every win, with every play, and starting to understand how physical he can be. And I think he's just a tremendous player, and he's only getting better.
Is there any change in like the communication? I'm just like thinking back to me and Hayden, which it's kind of a similar situation. Because I know, like, my first year, I'm all ears, even first 2 or 3 years even. But then by the last year, when I started to kind of find my confidence and I wanted to implement my system a little bit, I could tell that, the communication had to change a little bit. And Hayden had to be like, all right, like, I'll change a little bit for you, realizing that I'm maturing and all that. Has the communication changed really at all? Yeah,
actually, that's a very interesting question that you bring that up, because it's very present in our relationship. Yeah. Because this year we always talk about Taylor quarterbacking the match, because I think he's got he's similar to Rosie in my mind, where they both have, I think, a deep understanding of the game and the chess match that goes on throughout a match, just naturally.
Right.
And but the tough part is to bring it out of those guys, because neither of them talk a lot, right? Taylor doesn't talk a lot. So our first year around, he didn't say much on the court at all.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, trying to understand that. But then you start to realize, like, I'm like, hey man, what should we do here? Like, walk me through this.
Right.
Make me be the big dumb athlete,
right?
And you walk me through it. Where do you want me to block? And he does it all the time now. Now he quarterback stuff. Like he's like, I even remember against Pretty and K-Spear, we were playing them, and K-Spear kept running back, and we were in, say, a line call, and I would have to, whatever, I'd end up blocking his angle, and Taylor was like getting frustrated. He's like, no matter what happens, take that side of the court. Says that to me. I'm like, it's about time, kid.
Yeah.
And next play, for sure enough, he runs back, and I'm like, and I made that move and got a stuff block. I was like, just quarterback me, kid.
Yeah.
Walk me through it.
It's so liberating. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know why it seems easier as a blocker, but like to have someone as a blocker, just have someone just tell you kind of what to do, and you be the soldier and go execute.
Yep.
For some reason, it feels easier at the net rather than
100%.
other way around. And I've always kind of looked at your guys' team, well, a lot of your teams, where you're the thinker a little bit more. The other guys are the instinctual. Their bodies and minds know the game, but they're not vocalizing it.
Yeah.
So I always kind of wondered how that dynamic was for you to do a little more strategy from the net, because I'd love to be that guy.
I'm the same way, and I think there's a big advantage to having that defender be that guy because you think about it, he's in the backcourt. He has a full picture of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the blocker, the motion, everything that's happening in front of him. As blockers, we don't get the full picture.
Right.
So to have a guy like that gets to sit back and see the whole thing, everything that's happening and what needs to happen, I think that's important. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think blockers are more offensive. You're not playing as much defense because you're not reacting quite as much. You're setting something up and then attacking that spot. It's not because if we wait for the hitter to make a move, it's too late. We're like showing it and then attacking that spot, hoping they attack it at the same time. Whereas a defender actually can see it happen and react a little bit more.
I just like having my defender tell me what to do because I have no idea what I'm doing.
I love having my defender.
Smart. Well done, John.
I love having my defender tell me what to do, but I feel like I'm getting to that point in my career where I'm like, I need to start being able to vocalize this a little more, and if I need to, come up with a game plan, because who knows? I came out blocking with a guy came out playing with a guy that's also a left-sider, also a blocker, and neither of us have played defense at the professional level, so...
Worked out pretty
well. It's fun,
well.
though. It's fun for me to see that for the first time, because we all know Hayden, doesn't matter how far off the court I am, he's screaming at my ass to get up to the net, as we see with his new partners as well.
The changes and improvements that we've seen in Taylor's game, I think, are very visible just because he's so young and still new to the AVP and just professional beach volleyball in general. I feel like the improvements in your game are, at this point, like subtle. So what are you seeing in your game that you're working on and that you're getting better at from, say, Austin until now?
Well, so I made a major change this year. I'm not going to go over exactly what that was because the way I look at the professional volleyball is I think I've had to do this several times throughout my career. Is you play the game. And teams are so smart, and there's so much video on the way you play the game that people learn your tendencies. And if you don't adjust, people adjust to you, and if you don't adjust back, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get swallowed up. Mm-hmm. And so you have to make adjustments back. I mean, no matter what, it's just the way the world is. I mean, there are too many great athletes out there and too much information and too many great coaches for you to do the same thing and get away with it for your entire... Don't get me wrong, I've hit deep middle for a long time in my career and got away with it.
Yeah.
Okay? But you also, So anyway, props to my coach, Rich Lamborn, who saw it and made a real significant change in something this year that I feel like has really helped me. And I'm gonna ride it out until the world catches up.
Yeah.
No, I mean not that they haven't. I mean not that I'm too much ahead of anything, but it's helped me out a lot.
You guys. I mean, your past couple World Tour events and American events too. I mean, you guys are right there. Like the Norwegian team, I think right now is unquestionably the number one team in the world. Just they're winning everything, and like you said, you guys had a swing for match against them. So obviously, the changes that you guys are making, they're working. how do you keep such an open mindset after 3 Olympics, making a push for 4? Because I feel like that, with a lot of veteran athletes, they can kind of ignore that and get a little complacent with where they are and say, well, this is what's been working. So I'm going to keep hitting deep middle until someone stops it.
I'm going to still hit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just a, growth mindset. There's a million quotes that teach that, right? I mean, we all understand that. I think that's pretty clear. If you're not learning, you're heading the other way. But I'm also in the boat that I have some amazing talent around me. Rich Lamborn, and now we have everybody has access to Tyler Hildebrand, who I think is an amazing amazing volleyball mind, So, why not pick their brains? Those guys know some good stuff. Rich has a gold medal hanging around his neck. Well, he never shows it and never talks about it either. I'm the only one that talks about it. So, yeah, I just love learning the sport. I love getting better, and I love learning.
You find that it's a little bit scary to change your game, especially when something's been working your whole career? Because I had a system I ran with Hayden, and now coming back, I'm like, should I do that same thing, or should I open myself up? Should I run these shoots or these lobs or, back? Because I was very straight up and down. And I'm like, well, damn, I was pretty good with the other system. Why change it? But then, like, hearing stuff like you, and I see Hayden's had to change his game almost year to year, which is pretty impressive. You think, like, there's a little bit of fear of, like,
absolutely,
I don't want to change something that's been good for me.
There's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But then that ends up being the thing that can push you over that hump and get you pushing your career longer and longer, it seems like.
Not always. I've made changes that didn't work.
Right.
I tried to swing block.
Oof, yeah.
I tried to swing block I have video of it, and it was atrocious.
Did you have long hair?
Yes, it was during that time.
Oh, that would be great to get a hold of that.
But yeah, I mean, they don't all work out.
Totally.
You got to test some things.
How long do you test something for before you kind of drop it and like, it's not working?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Probably know pretty quick.
Yeah. With swing blocking, I learned real quick. No, but I tried to swing block for half a season.
Didn't work out too
well. I feel
well.
like you get up a little higher, but I feel like your body's always, you're always in a twist, so you end up like leaving those, your shoulders getting pulled off, or so you leave those small angles.
You definitely get up higher. I think the biggest disadvantage there is vision for the hitter. I think you're just showing the hitter where you are, because he gets to track you coming from the mid. He's looking at the. He gets to track you the whole way. Is he coming all the way out to my line? And yeah, maybe you're up a little bit higher, but he gets to watch the whole thing happen.
Yeah, and once you're in the air, he knows exactly where you're drifting and all that. Yeah, it's a good call.
We have one AVP left this year. I know you're playing the Norseca on Wednesday. Good for you for being able to recover that fast. Playing full weekend Manhattan, getting lifted Monday, and then Norseca Wednesday. And then we have Chicago. What's the schedule looking like for you guys after that? Because I know we have a couple of weird...
Yeah, we're going to the King of the Court series. So we go straight from Chicago to Netherlands. So for those that don't know, the King of the Court is what we all do at the beach, is you play side out. There are 5 teams on... Well, there are 15 total teams, but 5 teams on your court. If you side out, you stay, and then you get a point. And they're playing it for... the same prize money as they have on the AVP, and the whole tournament takes about 3 hours. So it's for me, it's a way to make. I mean, it'll be cool. I don't know if it'll be cool or not, but I think it's exciting. And it'll be fun.
Is this the first year that they're doing that? And it was last year like an experimental year?
Yeah.
When we talked with Brower and Mewhirter, they loved it.
Yeah.
But I'd never heard of it. And this year it's like
they love
rage.
it because they're side-out machines.
Yeah, exactly.
It plays right into their game.
They got all the energy in the world and just going to hammer balls all day. But we also got the Hawaii event. I'm cheering for Taylor. I was cheering for Taylor and Jake to do well in the Gold Series so that Taylor is automatic into Hawaii, and maybe me and Trevor can get the wild card.
I like it. That's smart.
I rarely cheer for you, though.
How many are there? So there's one in the Netherlands. Hawaii is a King of the Court, right? Or is that a normal one?
Hawaii is a hybrid. So one day, I think, is King of the Court, and then the other 1 or 2 days is AVP. I think they haven't officially announced it.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
But yeah, they're both happening out there.
Okay. How many other King of the Courts are there? It's like a series, isn't
There's
it?
4.
Okay.
Yep. So there's one in the Netherlands, then Belgium, then Hawaii, then Huntington Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then are you guys doing the China event? That's the first kind of Olympic qualifier?
So literally we were texting about it today. We haven't decided. There's that, and it's back to back with Vegas.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to that yet.
Yeah. Because I feel like at some point, like you probably need a rest. Because I mean, you played in The Hague in January, right?
Yeah.
And
No, I didn't. We didn't play.
Didn't
in
do The Hague.
No.
Okay. But then we had Fort Lauderdale, and that's in what, February or early March?
Yeah, February.
So long year,
Yeah.
long season.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you have to shut it down and just rest and recover, right?
Yeah, I mean, but this is what we do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we play beach volleyball for a living. It's not like it's that terrible
Yeah.
to have to play a few extra tournaments. I mean, but yeah, it's nice to have a little off season, and we'll get that. So
Yeah.
but at this time and at this point in my career, I don't take much of an off season. I train full year round because it's dangerous to let it go.
Yeah.
So you're not dreading Hawaii. Hawaii end of the year, only a few teams. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. I'm sure you can handle.
And have you and Taylor kind of decided to you're definitely making that push for Tokyo?
Like we haven't had to sit down and committed or anything
Yeah.
like that. I think that's going to happen. You know, we have to sit down and make sure that's locked down. And
Right.
I certainly want to. I want to play with him, and so I hope he wants to too. But yeah, that's TBD.
Yeah. I feel like this is probably kind of the last quad that the U.S. will be lucky enough to have the veterans who have been kind of holding it up for so long with you and Phil and Nick and Hayden. What do you think about the younger generation of U.S. players coming up? So obviously, I mean, Taylor is as good as it gets on the World Tour or AVP. Try, you'll be back and fully healthy, hopefully by that point too.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to keep up with the Norwegians. The Russians have some young guns coming out. The Polish guys have been around forever, and they're younger than I am. Yeah. So, I mean, the World Tour is as deep as it gets. And I feel like after, with this generation that's been in there and kind of holding it up, the U.S. is a little bit behind. So what do we need to do to catch up?
We'll catch up. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Americans we don't take well to losing. So the guys will step up. There will be a crop of guys try and guys that'll be out there grinding and learning to win and taking home medals, and it'll happen. I promise you. We won't be. There won't be this big lag in men's beach volleyball. I hear that a lot, and it bothers me actually.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think it's going to happen. I think I think we have the right staff here at USA Volleyball to take us to the next level, to teach the young guys the game, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah. I love the steps they are taking. Like you said, they brought in Hildebrand, and I haven't met a single person who isn't stoked about that. How much of a difference does it make that you guys are having these structured practices now with USAV, with Tyler running it, and with just a bunch of shoulder guys there, modeling after the Brazilian practices a little bit?
Yeah, you'd have to ask other people how that feels to them, because
Yeah.
I've been doing it for I guess
Tyler was his
6
coach.
years.
Yeah.
Tyler was Jake's coach for the
Yeah.
whole last quad. So
Yeah.
he got a lot about that. But for me, the difference is that Tyler studies the international game a lot, and a lot of our domestic players, especially the young ones, haven't gotten that experience on the World Tour. So he can kind of translate practices and also like the stuff he's saying to and cater it towards being ready to play on the World Tour against those athletes rather than AVP, which is a lot different actually. There's a lot more differences than just the ball. Balls come in a lot faster. There's bigger, more physical athletes, and it's like every round is just absolutely gnarly. Like could easily be a AVP final every round.
Yeah, I think what Tyler does is he does a great job of. He's very progressive, and he understands where the game is and where it is headed. In my opinion, so he does a good job of taking us there, and I think USA Volleyball will benefit greatly because of it.
Yeah. And obviously I've never played the Norwegian kids, but I'm really interested in your take on them. Just I feel like they almost came not out of nowhere, but this year, they weren't like top of the top, and now every tournament they play in, you're like, they're the favorites to win by far. Like what is it that makes them so special right now? And obviously Anders is massive.
Yeah. God, we had a training session with them, I think, before Huntington Beach. I think they were in the qualifier at that time. And Anders had about 16 stuff blocks on us, and we're like, what's going on here? These kids tend to be pretty good. But what makes them unique is Anders' blocking. I've been watching him, and it's real interesting. He'll call a line block and then stuff somebody in the sharp angle.
Yeah.
A little bit like you see like Olsen would do that some,
right.
But real extreme reads out of him.
To me, he's like a hybrid player because he's getting up, like, in my opinion, he's getting up and pressing like Phil. I don't know about Phil back in the day. You'd know more than me, but he's getting up with that penetration, but making moves more like the smaller guys. Like, I mean, maybe not just like me, but how I kind of had to like get he gets low, like his ass is on the sand, and he'll show something. Then he gets up like Phil, but makes these great moves with their hands. Like a player like you make really good moves with your hands because you have to. You're not Phil all the time, Where Phil really will just line up on you, press, and he can make subtle moves from there and just take up so much court. But he's like a hybrid of both of them, so it's like so gnarly.
Yeah, and then I think Christian is a guy that maybe doesn't get as much credit, but he is. I always hate this comparison, but I'm going to use it anyway. He reminds me of Misty May because I think she's compared to too often, right? She's the next Misty May, but
not the guys though.
Yeah, no, that's true. But the way that he's like Misty May is that in the same scenario where Anders is blocking line, you'll see Christian walk into a line shot, and you're like, wait, were they calling angle and he walked late into that line? And then you look at the film and he's like, no, he read that ball. And it's not like a hold, like a super disciplined hold and then run in the layout. It's a read, and he's amazingly good at it. I think guys that play that game can get stung a lot, but I don't see him getting burned the other way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
At least as of now. But so it's an interesting thing where they're playing a lot of read defense, and so we'll see. It'll be a test. Though I'll tell you, this off season there's going to be a lot of Norwegian film going across the world.
Oh yeah. I bet. You don't go on a winning streak like that with only one player being dominant. I mean, wasn't it like a 20 to 30 match win streak or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, not many people have done that since Phil and Todd, right? And it wasn't just Phil when they were going on that run.
Right.
Yeah. It's impressive.
The McKibbins had them on their YouTube channel, and they said pretty much what you just said. So Anders was like, if I see swing, I take it. And then his job is to go dig the shots. He goes, if he's getting blown up, then that's my fault.
Going to pause for a quick word from our sponsors, and you know it. Our number one sponsor is Wilson Volleyball, maker of the absolute best volleyballs in the game of beach volleyball. And I know the AVP season is over. It was just a quick blip, bam, then it's gone. But off season's here, and that means that training season is here, and you need some fresh Wilsons to make the improvements you need over the off season, or just to get together with a bunch of friends and play some volleyball. And to play some volleyball with a bunch of friends, you need Wilson volleyballs. All right, so use our discount code SANDCAST-20 to get 20% off all Wilson products. All right, that is SANDCAST-20 to get 20% off. So head over to wilsonvolleyball.com for your order today. And now, back to the show.
So I know that we got to get you out of here before traffic gets too gnarly. So we'll ask you our final question here that we ask every guest, and I think you're probably like the perfect guy to ask this to, just because you've been around the game for so long or so knowledgeable about it. If you had to give one piece of advice to an up-and-coming beach volleyball player, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, that's easy. It's all about team. When I say that, I mean put the best team around you can. And then don't look back. But you have to do your due diligence on finding that team. So you have to do your work in finding the right coach, in finding the right partner, in finding the right strength coach, in finding the right agent, in finding everything that's going to allow you to go forward in your career. But you put that team around you, and then you put your full trust in that team, and then you have no excuses.
Yeah, I'm interested in your take too. And because what a lot of people say about the qualifier teams is that a lot of them will pretty much stay in that 13th, 9th, 17th place area because they keep switching partners and grabbing points. Do you think that a qualifier team would be better off maybe taking their licks and taking a couple 17ths and then just staying together and moving up if they think that's the right team?
Oh, I think that's a total mindset. I think if your goal is to stay in the main draw and just hang out there, then you switch partners and you just play the points game. But if you want to do something in the sport, then you pick your guy I hate the grass is always greener concept where guys are always looking for it can't be me, right? It's got to be my partner.
Yeah.
And in beach volleyball, we have so much of that. I want to stranglehold guys. I think it's lack of accountability, and it really doesn't serve them well at all.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that hits very right at home for me right now because, I mean, I've only been able to put together basically one piece of my whole team puzzle right now, which is my trainer. That was actually the first piece that, I mean, I never lost touch with him, but I couldn't work out, obviously. But first call was, hey, you want me back? Like, are we doing this again? And he was in. So that was huge for me. And now I'm kind of just feeling everyone out. But I couldn't agree more. And I don't think that many people buy into the creating that whole culture and team environment and realize how valuable it is. It's a grind. It's a whole season. It's a whole career. And you can have a 5-year, 10-year partnership if you build something good. But you're cutting yourself short if you just keep dropping partners and that sort of thing.
Or getting dropped.
What? Or getting dropped, yeah. Well, you can't
I'm about
really
to
help it there.
set a record, 3 straight actually 4. 5 if you count the Norseca with the same partner with me and Hagen. It's a personal record.
Well, you got to think, volleyball, it's two-man beach volleyball. Like half your team is this other guy. So you have to invest time into that. And I just think a lot of people do have the mindset, like, I'm playing great right now, like, and we're not winning. So the other half of it is this guy. So he's out. Whereas you can really be adaptable and change your game towards his and create something between the two of you. And I think that's a more fun way to go about it, too, in the long run. It's less frustrating, and it's hard to, like, fight that mindset of, like, I'm getting rid of him. It seems like it's the easy out. But, yeah, I agree with you all the way.
I like that. Now, where can our listeners find you on social media, or where can they get in touch with you or reach out?
I basically just do Instagram, and it's Jake S. Gibb.
Jake Spiker Gibb.
Yep, that's me.
All right, we appreciate you letting us steal you here in the middle of a really busy week, right after Manhattan, right before Norseca, right before big coaching duties. Good luck. Hopefully you can track down some YouTube.
That's right. Big soccer game, big soccer practice tomorrow night.
We
All right,
appreciate
thanks
you
for having
coming
me,
on.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Cool.